It has been an interesting couple of weeks with me and SmashJT, and we're going to talk about it right now. He has been obsessed with me from his videos to his live streams to his news articles. I mean, if you really want my attention, you should buy me dinner at least, man. And I got the army of smashers and bottom feeders coming after me. Like and share this video because I got some big voices in gaming that want to shut me up. If Smash wants to react to this, I know he tried in my last video and I think the subject matter was challenging for him. I made some bingo cards for some things that Smash will probably say during the video. Winners get an all expense paid trip to his shag shack. Yeah, gross. Now I've been pretty respectful up to this point. But yeah, not gonna be quite as nice. We're gonna talk about everything that's happened up till now. Did Smash potentially break any laws? Did I potentially break any laws? We're also gonna talk about Smash's veiled threats of lawsuits. Dude is so bent out of shape, I can't take accountability for him being a moron. Let's be objective, let's be fair, but I'll definitely talk some shit back at this idiot. Keep in mind, this man-child would fold in just a few minutes in an actual conversation. Hey, if I were him, I wouldn't want to look any more dumb than I already do. And that's on him. I'm not his parents. I didn't give him the genetics to make him this fucking stupid. I'm not responsible for his stupid reactions to shit. I've been investigating the anti-woke news space for some time. A big part of that is using anonymous sources to help drive narratives. Now, Smash isn't the only one guilty of this. There's other content creators, but what makes Smash's case more unique is that he does cosplay as a journalist. And that's no matter how he self-identifies. He has a gaming news website, he does gaming news, he monetizes that gaming news for early smashers. When Elon Musk complains about gaming journalism, he wants to shill his website to replace them. For all intents and purposes, he is a journalist. And for all intents and purposes, I've been an investigator in this space and I find it fascinating. I mean, there's a lot of people that investigate mainstream journalism and that's great, hold them accountable. But there's definitely a big, wide open space to cover the newer media in 2025. Whatever you do, don't talk about the money at all. They want to call it pocket watching if there's even a whiff of discussing the amazing amount of money behind the anti-woke gaming movement. There's a whole lot of money behind it, and that's alright. Get rich, get paid. Smash and I have a situation, and he can't get me off of his mind. Smash has been obsessed with me since this, making 5 videos about the situation, talking about me for a good portion of it. Brother has that McDizzle DLC all ready to go. Don't forget the numerous articles on SmashJT.com because he is a journalist. Oh, and all the live streams versus, well, my one video. In fact, he's so mad he's watching like all these videos about it on YouTube, commenting about it, getting mad if it's not preferable to him. Getting upset at people that are actually reporting objectively on it, like Sid Alpha or even Fratanga talking about it. He's obsessed, so upset that some people find this really interesting. People noticed numerous trends of Smash's reporting on various topics and had a lot of questions. Now, I'm not the arbiter of truth or the media. I can only give my perspective from my investigations, and it's been driving a group of anti-woke folks crazy. People get mad when misinformation is addressed. And instead of talking it out like men, here's a trend between Smash and Grums that you can find pretty similar. Both guys say they're right like 95% of the time, and both of them don't have the guts to actually have a conversation with me. One-on-one, air your grievances, be able to move forward. However, they won't have a one-on-one conversation because it would be a zero benefit to them. Now, how do I, a YouTube channel that's like 6,500-ish people or so, get these guys so mad? They'll be like, "You're obsessed with Grums, brother." Over the last 6 months, I do have some videos on Ember by Grums. Maybe like 6 of them, and they all have new information in them. And find me the videos disputing this and telling me I'm wrong. You won't. But find me the videos telling you I'm right. You will. But these fools that are obsessed with like my 6 videos on Grums and Ember are like, "Well, you know what, brother? You're obsessed with Grums, but you should check out my 55 video Listen Mercante playlist." Like, I'll sometimes fall asleep to old Angry Video Game Nerd episodes. I wonder if some people are like, "Yeah, brother, I'm gonna put on some of the old Listen Mercante playlist and fall asleep. Let the hate run through me." I'm just saying, if like it's been a year and you've got 50, 60 videos about the same person, you're a fucking weirdo. But I guess everyone defines obsession differently. These guys don't want people reporting on them. They don't want people critiquing them. I think I need to make a new series called Washed Up Fucking Losers of YouTube. 8-Bit Eric's a good start. The guy's a fucking joke. LolCow Live didn't even want him, and his claim to fame is calling like a 16-year-old girl a whore. Judge me by my enemies. He's just one example of Smash's bottom feeders that wants to talk a lot of shit. Smash and Grumps have floated the idea of trying to sue me or press charges. This is just a technique to attempt to silence me from the recently featured in Russian state-sponsored media Grums, and Mr. Smash, who seems to think because he's a fucking idiot that something's illegal. The Canadian justice system will not help you resolve those issues. And if you're like, hey brother, you did do something illegal, you stole someone's identity. In a legal sense, no I didn't, and we'll take a look at that. Again, acknowledging the moral, legal, and ethical questions. Things that I don't think Smash really evaluates or thinks about very much. Now, people can sue people for whatever they want, they can press charges on people for whatever they want, or they can try. And Smash, as a wealthy man from California, do not try any frivolous litigation with me because you will look like a bitch. If you value your reputation anyway, people will be laughing their ass off at you. Legal actions often have legal reactions. Don't try to intimidate me, you swamp donkey. Him and his cartoon uncle are pretty damn upset with me right now. And Grums, regarding legal queries, don't you have a backer currently planning a class action lawsuit? And you are just a whisper away from legal trouble because your backers can't actually cancel their accounts. Oh, and isn't Ember out already on Steam? Watch out for Lady Concord, she'll get you every time. It's a cuck simulator about a guy named Mark called Ember. Again, it's not my fault you act like a fucking idiot. I mentioned Grums because Smash is like, McDizzle is mad because I guess I don't hate Grums enough. Dude, I don't care if you're a fan of Grums. In fact, someone who subscribes to Grums and is a fan of them reached out to me the other day to even check in with me that I'm friends with. Or at very least are cordial with. The only thing I've called out regarding that is your blind shilling, which isn't surprising considering your history of being an Amico shill. Just a transition to an anti-woke shill. They are just doing the best with their set of skills, and I'm doing the best with my set of skills. And I think it's important to know that the legacy media is dying, and this is what is replacing it. Like the whole Kotaku Mr. Beast thing, Kotaku really fucked up. It is important to hold them accountable in 2025, especially in the gaming space. Gamers that aren't brain dead see these patterns. And also within the scope of yellow journalism is sensationalism, and we got some real-time examples to take a look at it, and it's fascinating. And within that scope of sensationalism, as we've all seen, especially over the last year or so, comes misinformation. And in this video, we're going to talk real time how that's actually happening, including Smash's sensationalism driving people to think that I have some kind of legal trouble. I have no pending litigation, just a cease and desist as Smash has had. Unlike Smash, I have 0 lawsuits. So here's the objective situation, at least from my perspective, and I try to be pretty damn fair. This is kind of what kicked off things. Here's a clip from my investigation into the yellow journalism of SmashJT. Let's take a look. If you are a journalist and you have a website that you provide gaming news to people, even if you make content on the side, you're going to get questioned if the information seems illegitimate. But do gamers want that information thrown out into the collective zeitgeist without a high level of confidence that it's correct? We're going to talk about at least how some of that information gets out there. Often within the scope of yellow journalism, which is a fantastic way to drive views and to get money. Now, yellow journalism within gaming hasn't specifically been explored, but we're going to do a bit of that. Of course, a big part of yellow journalism is taking sides on political issues, as well as reporting stories using anonymous sources, and we've seen a lot of that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This type of content is like the tabloids of video games. Now, do I think yellow video game journalism should exist? Sure, but gamers like accuracy and call-out patterns, and that's why we're here today. This is a fantastic playbook on how to drive views on YouTube. But it does come at the expense of truth and facts. But in any case, we should have an informed conversation about it. I mean, I get it, who wouldn't want a pile of views on their YouTube channel? And don't get me wrong, it does take skill and talent to do what Smash does and others do. And one thing I will call out is some of these other people are like John Della Rose, who's trying to see this as an own on Smash, and it could have easily been him. Personal message to John, you're a freak, but maybe we'll explore that in another video. But we'll do a breakdown of how we arrived here. An example from some time ago with SmashJT was with Concord. The most epic failure of all time. Smash did some reporting on his perceived contributions of an employee and their alleged impact to the destruction of Concord. The information was so off that a Concord employee reached out to me, one that I did verify. I did a couple things to reach a high level of confidence with that source. For example, I reviewed their profile next. They weren't hiding anything. Or for another that corroborated things, they could send some proof. I guess the point being, if someone trusts you enough as a conduit of the information that they want to provide, it's going to be more than a name and a role from a random email or any public information. This was not complex. Smash is just an idiot, and taking it at face value has a massive risk for misinformation. However, based on accounts from 4 other people that I was actually able to verify, a number of things that he said were factually wrong. You can check that video out if you want. And you know what? He might have talked to somebody there, and maybe that was their experience. However, a number of his statements were very broad and reaching and, well, not correct based on my research. Either way, that drew me further into heavy skepticism of anything SmashJT was reporting. Okay, rewind to a few weeks ago. I got a message indicating that Smash will print anything to go to LinkedIn, find a random name for a developer at any studio, make a fake email on anything, and send him insider stuff he wants to hear. He'll post it within the hour. I did it a few times now. I'm one of his BioWare insiders. Now, I have no interest in blowing SmashJT up. I'm sure he's created a variety of enemies, and this sounds like one of them. I did ask him for additional proof. He locked himself out of the account and didn't have screenshots. However, he did provide me the insider name and email address. And I provided that to Smash and Goodwill, and he did confirm that I was correct. The crazy thing is, this fake leak ended up happening. Part of it did anyways. Specific article about a BioWare insider leaking all. Veilguard sales numbers, internal culture war, and layoffs incoming. Now, we do know layoffs did happen, but this specific piece right here was kind of funny. Let's find it. This part about a private chat group at BioWare with more than 10 people in it that follow his content specifically, that's pretty made up. Allegedly. And again, I would be happy to be proven wrong. That specific article was written just hours after this was sent by this gentleman. I have a level of skepticism with this, of course, because the BioWare layoffs did happen. Although I disagree with this guy's approach. I followed up to flag this just shortly after his video was posted. This dude just left it. I think that's 1, incredibly irresponsible, and 2, I'm doing it as part of a social experiment and an investigation. Now, what dude did really helped no one, but it did tip me off to this. As I do think it is in the public's best interest to know what goes in the background and verifying sources for things that go out there into the cultural zeitgeist. So I gave it a try, again, with just a name and a role. Within a few hours, an article and a video was up. Now, Smash might make the argument, well, I checked to see if this person existed. Again, the threshold for nobody that's in journalism should be if somebody exists. That just shows us that anyone could send anything just to push their narrative. And some people say, well, he said it was just a rumor, brother, take it with a grain of salt. The problem is, you said you verified their credentials. What credentials? That the name and the role match with someone that worked at Ubisoft? You misled people to say, hey, I got this email from a Ubisoft employee. I have verified that they're a Ubisoft employee. I mean, even getting a message from a different account like a LinkedIn. Oh wait, you're banned from there, aren't you? But either way, you apologize because, well, whatever the fuck else are you supposed to do? No one's perfect. We all make mistakes. That said, as a journalist, you are hypercritical of the institution of journalism. But if this happened to another journalist, would they complain for this long? I can't imagine. That has been a trend his whole career. But yeah, he crashed out. It was definitely nap time. Posted things that may have put you at legal risk. Got so mad you put my personal name and city out in blast. Crashed out hard and you keep crashing out. This was such an interesting experiment and I'm glad we could partner together on it, Smash. BFFs for life, bro. Nothing like this to my knowledge has been done before. And it is in the public's best interest to know that. Now, Smash recently said that the reason he showed someone's personal information was to show that he did his research. But he can always black out names if he's ever worried. But he didn't seek out anything to distinguish that, hey, anybody could have sent this. Just a simple, hey, do you have like an X account or a LinkedIn or something else you can message me on? Just to make sure you're not pulling my leg. I'm not talking about a high standard, I'm just talking about any standard. Driving back to the point that anyone could use easily available public information, send anything to info@smashjt.com, and it becomes news. As long as, in Smash's words, it makes sense. And it begs the question, if it was something that he didn't want to hear, would he still have reported on it? What if it was information such as Assassin's Creed Shadows pre-orders are absolutely through the roof and that was a leak? Would that meet the parameter of making sense, or will we ever really know? And sure, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Things can be inadvertent. I'm curious though what his intent was in sharing my first and last name and the city I lived in. Any guesses? Now, he said he tried to learn from it, but most of his video was complaining about me. He made piles of money off it, bragged about it, good for him. And couldn't shut up about me for days, and in fact, while making this video, can't shut up about me. I think he's got probably 5 or 6 videos on this situation, multiple articles. Brother is tilted. On February 20th, I provided some goodwill to Smash. I sent him the name and email address of the supposed BioWare leaker that tipped me off, so at least he would know that the information that they got from this leaker, fake leaker, was not correct. He confirmed I was correct. That specific BioWare leaker was fake. Last week, Ubisoft sent both me and Smash a cease and desist. Both had different things to do. Myself, I can't impersonate a Ubisoft employee for any reason or intent in the future, and fully respecting privacy laws and no misuse of any personal information. Smash was requested to edit the employee information out of his videos. Oh, me and Smash just two crazy guys. Regardless, I've complied with a cease and desist. Smash has complied with a cease and desist. Now, Smash made a whole article and a video about it. So Smash has a cease and desist letter here. The purpose of this letter is to formally notify you of the unlawful parts of this video, specifically the references to employees' identity. These elements negatively impact their security by divulging their private information to the public without prior approval. And there's some timestamps. Ubisoft takes the protection of its employees very seriously. As such, we formally demand that you take the following actions within 48 hours upon receipt of this notice. Cease and desist from any further unauthorized mention of the employee's identity. Edit the video to eliminate the infringing content or any content allowing the partial or full identification of the employee. And provide written confirmation of compliance with this request by sending an email to the email address. Failure to comply within the specified time frame will leave us no choice but to pursue all necessary legal action to protect the employee's interest. This includes, but is not limited to, helping the employee press charges against you, criminal charges against you. We trust that you'll treat this matter with the urgency and seriousness it requires. Now, my letter was pretty similar, just with some different requirements. Now, Smash's response to this is funny. Now, it's one thing to get called out for an actual legal issue, brother, but in this case, no. I was literally the victim of an identity theft hoax. Smash, I think you need to rinse, dry, and repeat, and look at why this actually happened, and the purpose of this social experiment. Instead of working with me to find the real person responsible, they need to work with you. I was pretty open about everything. Ubisoft seems to have come after me. Although I haven't spoken with McDizzle, I see his latest videos covering the situation are now removed off his channel. If Smash was a good journalist, he could ask me about it. Maybe my first reaction is to try to make it easier for anyone that's impacted. But I'm not talking about you. So I'd assume he's either already been in touch with Ubisoft legal team, that's correct, or realized how bad an F up what he did actually was. Well, it seems equally as bad as yours. Our combined actions had Ubisoft legal contact us. Now, I handled like a man, you handled like SmashJT Karen. You know, we'll talk about intent and some harm in a little bit, though. And we have the response there. Dear Miss, I appreciate you reaching out to me regarding my video and the concerns regarding this employee. Out of respect for your employee's privacy and well-being, I've taken the appropriate steps to edit the video and remove any content that could potentially identify him. I want to make it extremely clear that I have taken these actions as a voluntary good faith gesture and not as any kind of admission of legal wrongdoing. I'm curious when he first showed that information, what he thought might happen. Smash says the whole situation is completely ridiculous, brother, but is anyone really surprised? I took the steps to blur out and remove any of all mention of the employee that was used by McDizzle. But from the looks of it at this point, instead of tracking down him, the person who actually stole this Ubisoft employee's identity and spread misinformation, they're going after the guy that got tricked by it. Well, Smash, I got a cease and desist too, and we're going to take a look at all the legal details here in a bit. It raises an important question. Does Ubisoft actually care about stopping identity theft, or are they just trying to cover their tracks and silence discussions about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Is this guy just for real? Is he ridiculous? He's so unserious. I don't believe I did anything illegal by clearing my name. Clear your name from what? You demonstrated on numerous occasions. If you have a name and a role, you'll just run with it. And as you mentioned, you're going to learn from it. Was that the only way you could have cleared your name? Is there anything else you could have done? But at this point, I'd rather not have to deal with another frivolous lawsuit. Extra S. I just went ahead and blurred the names in the video. Honestly, I would be seriously concerned if I was McDizzle Gaming. I feel like Ubisoft has a much stronger case against him, and if the axe they were grinding on me was just getting started, I'm genuinely curious to see what their next step is here. With him. I put out a statement because Smash wants to make this into content and make money off it. Hey, make your money, man. And at this point, he's been escalating the situation and continuing to draw attention to it for roughly the last 2 weeks. Does that open him up to legal risk? Well, check yourself. Liberal California has some unique doxing laws, that's for sure. Smash's analysis of my statement is hilarious. McDizzle is very clearly in full damage control mode, brother. Not at all. You had to edit a video. I took down a tweet. I made the choice to remove a video and some live streams talking about the situation because I didn't want to escalate it further for anyone involved. Especially when it comes to personally identifying information being shared to a large audience. I'm curious, what does he think people would do? Did Smash and I both mess up? We sure did. Despite admitting that he complied with a cease and desist, he still just couldn't resist lashing out and trying his best to play the victim. His response reeks of insecurities and defensiveness. Signs of someone who knows he messed up bad, but refuses to take the full responsibility for anything. Alright, let's break this down. McDizzle is very clearly in full damage control mode. Well, we both got cease and desist, and our actions for me would not be to impersonate an Ubisoft employee for any reason. If you want to talk about reeking of insecurity, listen to this projection.
They wanted to knock me down. They wanted to bring me back down to earth and make me feel like I'm a nobody and that I suck and that I'm useless and all that.
I don't know what the hell that was, but it sure comes across like an insecure victim mentality to me. And both Smash and I have complied with the cease and desist. Now, for the numerous people mentioning identity theft and identity fraud based on Smash's comments. 1, people can attempt to sue anyone for anything, and 2, people can attempt to press charges for whatever they want. And Smash, if you try to harass and intimidate me with a frivolous lawsuit, you will become a complete laughingstock. Again, it's not the justice system's problem, you're an idiot. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I've worked very closely with lawyers, as well as worked with a lot of workplace law and interpreting that law and how it actually translates in the workplace. This is my own assessment of the situation. Now, I did not steal anyone's identity or commit identity fraud. At least in a legal sense, but we'll go over it. But I will say it's really important to make sure that you're fully respecting privacy laws and not misusing someone's personal information. That goes for both Smash and I, as it can open you up to legal risk. I hope Smash does the same, and I hope he feels bad for sharing personal information. It's no joke, especially in California. Also, and I can't speak to Smash's specific legal challenges with this. I did not share anyone's personal information that I'm aware of or intentionally, but it's important not to misuse public information or share identifying information. Again, a lot of it comes down to intent and harm. However, Smash should seriously consider how his actions might impact that. I know I have. He says more importantly, McDizzle should be watching his back, not from gamers, but from actual lawyers. Impersonating an Ubisoft employee and inserting himself into situations where he has no authority to do so could land him in serious legal trouble. Tell me more about the law, man. This is what I was trying to get across to him from day one of the situation. Ubisoft's acknowledgement of their contact with him only strengthens the possibility that they're going to be keeping an eye on his actions moving forward, and likely yours as well. That said, there's nothing in the cease and desist to suggest that. At the end of the day, McDizzle Gaming is left with a broken channel that's lost all credibility. Deleted videos, 1 video is gone, and a couple live streams. And views are gone. Those ones, sure. Subscribers spiraling down the drain. Well, that's not correct. And a reputation of being untrustworthy alongside of it. Dude, I exposed some wild shit. I've done it transparently. I've done it honestly. You're just a salty bitch. If you want to call me a liar, I'm the most honest one you'll ever meet. When I, in fact, have pretty good relationships with people that work in the industry because they like the truth that I say. He overplayed his hand, and in trying to take the moral high ground, ironically ended up sinking in his own ship. No one in the industry will take him seriously after this, and the damage to whatever brand he has leading up to this is done. That is some funny shit. Hate to break it to you, doesn't seem like you're well liked in the industry. The sentiment that I've received is they think you're an idiot. You say my channel's broken, but it seems to be working fine. You say my brand's damaged, but I feel okay. But I understand your feelings are hurt, and I hope you have the support system you need. So we'll go over how I did not commit identity theft or identity fraud, but I will acknowledge how this leads to ethical, moral, and legal questions. I invite you to do the same amount of research as I did and see what conclusion you come to. Talk to some people that actually work in law in Canada and see what you get. I've left numerous links and resources in the description. Now, don't get me wrong, both Smash and I's actions open us up to legal risk. Sorry about your feelings, Smash, but the facts don't really care about them. I've said my piece to those that matter in the situation. I feel bad, Smash, but we both have culpability in this complex situation. And for those wondering why I didn't say anything sooner, well, I wasn't sure what I could say. The second point, remove any content, statements, or communications you made related to the false email in the employee from any platform or any social media. I found that could be interpreted a few different ways, so I wasn't sure of what I could really speak about. And I did get some clarity on that. The cease and desist letter was issued solely to address the protection of our employee, and compliance means in relation to that, fully respecting privacy laws and ensuring no further misuse of personal information. Well, we can do that. Both Smash and I, whether inadvertently, were pretty careless. Let's talk about identity theft and identity fraud and how it doesn't apply to me. Canadian courts use a purposive interpretation when applying laws. This means they look at why the law exists, rather than just reading it literally. Courts aim to uphold the spirit and intent of the law, especially in cases involving privacy, fraud, and defamation. Keep that in mind because you cannot talk about any of these laws without that. We're going to take a look at the Criminal Code of Canada and two sections, one on identity theft and one on identity fraud. Every person commits an offense who obtains or possesses another person's identity information with the intent to use it to commit an indictable offense that includes fraud, deceit, or falsehood as an element of the offense. Let's talk about obtaining or possessing another person's identity information. Why this doesn't apply to me. Public versus private information is handled differently. The name and role that was used was publicly available, meaning it wasn't stolen or obtained secretly. In fact, anyone could access the information through public social media profiles, websites. This is not about gaining access to someone's personal or protected details, but simply using publicly known information. There wasn't a secretly obtaining someone's private identity or forging any records. Let's talk about using this information to commit an indictable offense that includes fraud, deceit, or falsehood as an element of the offense. For this law to apply, someone has to use another person's identity to commit a serious crime such as fraud or theft. The crucial element here is that the information must be used to gain something of value, usually money, property, or services. And you may see deception there, but I'd have to get something like property or services. Why this doesn't apply to me? There was no fraudulent act. The key point is that I did not use a name and a role to engage in any criminal activity like fraud or theft. The purpose of using the name wasn't to deceive or defraud anyone for personal gain. You might say, well, you have a YouTube channel, brother. I would say that's how I report on my content. And again, this experiment was meant to observe how easy it is for information to get out into that zeitgeist and how people react to it, not to directly exploit someone for views or money. While SmashJT may feel trolled, it's important to recognize that fraud requires intent to deceive for financial or personal gain. My goal wasn't to manipulate SmashJT or anyone else to get something from them. I wasn't trying to trick him into providing anything valuable. This experiment focused on studying how misinformation spreads, yellow journalism, not about the defrauding process. There was no intention to commit fraud, theft, or any indictable offense. Therefore, this section does not apply to my case because I didn't use someone else's identity to commit a crime or gain something of value. Now, fraudulent personation. Everyone commits an offense who fraudulently personates another person, living or dead. Wow, that makes sense. Did I do that? Let's talk about this. Before we even get to the subsections, the core requirement of this law is the person must have fraudulently personated somebody else. What does that mean in law? Personation means pretending to be someone else or using their identity if it's like it's yours. Okay. Fraudulently means doing so with deception and wrongful intent, usually for personal gain or to harm someone else. Not all forms of impersonation or pretending or using a name are criminal. How this doesn't apply to me, I did not assume someone else's identity or claim to be them in a way that misled people into giving me money, services, or assets. My experiment was about testing misinformation, not tricking people into giving me something of value. I wasn't stealing credentials, signing documents in someone's name, or committing identity fraud. Now, that's just the first part of it. If we break down the subsections, let's take a look. with the intent to gain advantage for themselves or another person. What that actually means, the law applies if someone pretends to be another person with the intent to gain a tangible benefit such as financial gain, money, assets, employment, legal or professional status, or avoiding a consequence. Again, you got to refer to the purposive interpretation of the law. Why does the law exist plays a massive role in how it's administered. Why this doesn't apply to me is, well, my YouTube views don't count as a fraudulent advantage. There's no law stating that online engagement from controversy equals a crime, and I don't even get a huge amount of that. There was no expectation that, yeah, I'm gonna get 1 billion views out of this or some nonsense. If the advantage isn't material, like money, legal status, services, or properties, then it doesn't really meet a fraud standard. Intent really matters. My goal was to conduct an experiment that caused no real harm to Smash outside of hurting his own little feelings. The night this happened, he broke his record for super chats talking about me, so I guess you're welcome. The next one, with intent to cause disadvantage to the person being impersonated or another person. This applies if someone intentionally impersonates someone else to hurt them, such as ruining their career or business, causing them financial loss, getting them banned, blacklisted, or falsely accused. Now, there was no harm in my intent. My experiment was about misinformation analysis, not damaging someone's finances. SmashJT is not suffering real harm. If anything, his channel is gaining more engagement from the situation. If a person feels hurt but isn't actually harmed in a way that's measurable by any means, it doesn't really meet the legal definition of disadvantage or impersonation with the intent to avoid arrest or prosecution or to obstruct, pervert, or defeat a court of justice, which isn't really relevant. At the end of the day, it comes down to intent and harm. That's my own legal analysis after a lot of research. You're welcome to do your own and see what kind of outcome you come to. And have this type of energy and deep dive into Smash's own legal risks. It's not about what you feel morally in some cases. For example, it's easy to say that Smash isn't responsible for the actions of his audience. Legally, that can be more complicated. You always have to evaluate the intent and the harm. But again, anyone can press charges or sue someone for anything they want. Smash should be well aware of this. I'm not losing any sleep. Always down to have good conversations about this though. At the end of the day, I have a lot of empathy for someone who's had their own personal information blasted out there incidentally. You should always consider that intent and harm, Smash, for all the people that you target that work within the game industry. If anyone wants to say definitively that I've committed a crime, you better be able to back that up because that's a pretty strong statement. I've said my apologies to those who matter, and that doesn't include SmashGPT. Just like the legacy media needs to be held accountable, so does the new media. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.